Let's go now to Rio de Janeiro and reporter Jan Onoszko. Jan, what's the latest where you are?
Hi there. I'm actually in Brasilia, and you can see behind me that there are thousands of Bolsonaro supporters now leaving the Esplanade, which is where the seat of government here in Brazil is. They were here to show their support for the president, but also to express their anger towards the Supreme Court and the Congress, both of which they believe have overstepped their constitutional powers. Now, indeed, Bolsonaro did address the crowds for about 10 to 15 minutes earlier, and he seemed to issue a veiled threat to the Supreme Court, saying that if they didn't step into line, then they may end up suffering what we don't want them to suffer. One of the most recent rounds that he's had with them has been about Brazil's electronic voting system. He believes that it's fraudulent or is open to fraud, and he would rather have a new paper ballot reinstated. However, the Supreme Court and Congress have both rejected this, saying there's no evidence of fraud, and he is as yet to produce any.
So we haven't had that January 6th moment that some had feared, where there would be Bolsonaro urging his supporters to storm those institutions.
No, fortunately, we haven't had any of those scenes. Overnight, there were people who attempted to break the barriers and get towards the Congress and Supreme Court buildings, but that didn't happen. It's been largely a fairly amicable party atmosphere here, and they really just want to show their support so far for Bolsonaro. There are, of course, some people here who don't believe that there should be free and fair elections next year. They actually want a military intervention and a return to a military regime. And Bolsonaro himself has even said that if he can't be confident that the elections next year will be free and fair, then maybe he will have to suspend them.
Of course, the day's not over yet, Jan. Later, Bolsonaro will be showing up at an afternoon rally in the economic capital, Sao Paulo, which is also the stronghold of the frontrunner for those elections next year, Lula da Silva.
Absolutely, yes. Bolsonaro is on his way as we speak to Sao Paulo to address the crowds there. And of course, you can imagine the crowds here were asking for Lula to be imprisoned. He was, of course, imprisoned a few years ago, but was released and cleared of all charges. They're asking him for his imprisonment once again, because they know, and the opinion polls show, that if he were to face Bolsonaro in a runoff in next year's election, then there is no doubt that Lula would win.
So is this all a bit of grandstanding? Because after all, the presidential election is still 13 months away.
In some ways, it's almost the beginning of the election campaign. He was actively asking people to come out onto the streets and show their support for him today, on the day that marks Brazil's independence from Portugal, because he knows that if we look at the opinion polls again, he's got a real uphill struggle if he's going to win a free and fair election. Only 24% of Brazil's population support and approve of Bolsonaro, whereas more than 50% disapprove of him. He's only got 13 months, as you say, and it's going to be a real battle for him to win re-election.
And we'll be talking about it in the next hour in the France 24 debate. Jan Onoszko in Brasilia, many thanks for that live update.